Hey guys, Kyle that doesn't know the anime here, bringing you my review for One Piece chapter 897. And so, in typical One Piece fashion, the chapter picked up where it left off with Luffy, Sanji, and Pekoms all like start wrecking things and causing havoc. And immediately after coming out of the mirror, pretty much. And for the most part with this chapter, I actually kind of appreciate how Oda didn't waste time in getting right into things, as I'm sure he wants to fulfill his promise of finally ending the whole Cake Island arc and finally getting to the stuff we want to see in the Wano Kingdom arc. So or definitely as he wants to get to it as pretty much soon as fucking possible, as much as we do. So he can. So yeah, I can kind of I almost kind of appreciate how quickly things kind of ended up, how the pace of the beginning, almost, I guess you could say. Um, and but now on the flip side, of that, I think this whole chapter, I think it just kind of showcased for us that almost on the flip side of it, like any chance of Oven and Sanji fighting, I think is less likely to happen now. I mean, it still could happen maybe, but I'm not holding my breath either for it to happen. If anything, I think the Vinsmokes are probably going to end up fighting Oven and his crew. But but yeah, actually, let's talk about the Vinsmokes even in this chapter. So we finally get the reappearance of the Germa 66 and the Vinsmokes and their entire fleet, and based on the first page, going back to the first page of the chapter where we see the Big Mom fleet still chasing the Straw Hats, I imagine how this will go down is that we're headed for a redeeming sacrifice type situation where Sanji and Luffy escape with the rest of the Vinsmokes, with Oven following them closely behind in his own fleet or something like that. And it's only after the Straws reunite that the Vinsmokes will probably end up serving as backup and a distraction. Will probably serve as backup and a distraction in order to secure the Straw's escape. But in the process, they'll get surrounded by Oven and Smoothie being taken out. Well, the Straws are going to make their final push for an escape from the island. But that's just one theory. But honestly, that's just one theory for this situation. And honestly, I'm not even, honestly, even with that theory, I'm not really even banking on it a whole lot, to be honest with you, because if, like, honestly, that whole situation, that whole scenario I just plotted out, it is pretty standard. It is pretty standard for One Piece, and we definitely know and I definitely know that Oda, as far as a manga, the man is like Shyamalan, is like Shyamalan, in which he has one twist after another. Although I guess in Oda's case, his twists are definitely a lot better than Shyamalan's. But yeah, Oda's like the Shyamalan of of mangaka, in which he can come up with not only better twists, of course, but he definitely comes up with even better ideas for pretty much all for he comes up with better ideas for any of these situations, even better than we as the reader and the viewer even manage to predict. So yeah, I'm not putting so yeah, while it is a plausible theory, I'm not putting too much stock in it, because Oda does his own thing, and he probably can come up with something even better than any of us can. So yeah, so yeah, he's probably got something even crazier planned, of course. Um, Also, I'm not sure we'll get more of it next chapter, but I felt kind of gypped that we only got one small panel of Pekom's Sulong form, because just from that one panel, I could tell it was badass, and I wanted to see more. But um, and I wanted to see more, so I'm hoping that probably next chapter we're gonna get just a little bit more of seeing Pekom's fight in his Sulong form. Like that is kind of what I'm hoping for, but I suppose we're just gonna have to wait and see on that. But on the flip side, even though we didn't get much in terms of his Sulong form, like it was only just one panel, which yeah, we only got one panel of his Sulong form, which honestly, I think I think Oda could honestly I think Oda could have probably planned that out a little better. Like I think he could have given us a little bit more to chew on in terms of Pekom's Sulong form. Like he could have given us a bigger panel of it or something like that. But yeah, it's I won't harp on that too much longer. But well, like I said, on the flip side of it, even though we didn't get much on Pekom's Sulong form, we did get a bit of interesting exposition from Pekom's, which is that unlike Carrot, he was never able to control his Sulong form, and the only one who was ever able to keep him under control was Pedro. But with him dead, there's no one who can stop Pekom's now. So that that leads me to two outcomes for Pekoms right now. First is that this is a suicide mission for him, and he's destined to die in this arc. Which in a way, it'd be kind of poetic if he pretty much ended up dying on, if he ended up dying on, if he ended up dying on the whole Cake Island. But it would also be kind of sad that he would die. It would be kind of poetic in that sense, but yeah, I'm not, but that's actually a theory. I'm not putting too many chips on because I'm putting a couple more of my chips on this other theory I have, which is that which is that I which is that like okay we with the whole or which is that Carrot is gonna somehow gonna take Pedro's place and somehow actually manage to calm Peckham's down like she's probably gonna be the one who ends up calming him down or rather than Pedro. But here's the thing about this whole Pedro even managing to calm you. Here's the whole thing about this whole Pedro of calming Peckham's down thing for me. It's it's one of those things where we're probably gonna get one next chapter again, but I really want an explanation as to how Pedro managed to accomplish that to begin with. Like, how did he manage to calm Peckham's down from just going on a complete rampage and destroying and destroying their home? Like, how is that possible? Because I mean, I know Oda doesn't do this shit, but just in the way it sounded, that really kind of sounded like some friendship BS that, dare I say it, Fairy Tail would pull. Again, I'm not saying it is. It probably is far from that. But just in the initial reaction to me, it sounded like some friendship BS. But knowing Oda, like I have complete faith in Oda. I'm sure the man definitely has definitely has something planned out for that. If I had to get if I had to use a little common sense on that one, I'd probably say it's if I had to use a little common sense on that one, I think it's I think it's probably an ability that pretty much only the minks know. Like I'm more inclined to believe that is probably an ability that only certain minks know because it would make sense if that was the case obviously because obviously if there was definitely cases like definitely case in Peckham's case where the citizens of Zou were just unable to control their Sulong forms, then obviously like I think Nekomamushi and Inuarashi and just all these upper echelon minks, I assume that they would have some kind of defensive mechanism or some kind of defensive ability in order to protect everyone else from any kind of rampaging minks. So yeah, I think it is probably like an ability or a device or just something that only the minks know in order to control their own, keep their own kind under control is what I think it is. And seeing how that Carrot is definitely one of the musketeers or one of the higher echelon minks who definitely serve in the Zou military or whatnot. I think that it's plausible that Carrot would definitely have a way of keeping Peckham's under control for sure. So yeah, Although if she doesn't know it, then it's a whole question of whether or not she can actually develop the ability in time or not. And like honestly, I talk about this, I'm more inclined, like I said, as I talk about this, I'm more inclined to believe the latter, be, louder than the former, as I feel between the Vinsmokes and Pekoms, I feel the Vinsmokes are the ones who are a bit more on the chopping block as far as character or characters go, in order who are basically on the list to get eliminated. But Oda has proven me wrong before, so like I said, Oda could have something completely different planned for this situation too. But yeah, I'm more inclined to believe that I don't think Peckham's is going to die yet, but I think so. I think Carrot is gonna play a part in keeping Peckham's under control for sure. Um, Now, if I did have any genuine issues or problems with this chapter, which kind of plays into the fact of only getting that one panel of Peckham's Sulong form, is that I feel the action in this chapter was a little too focused on Luffy. I mean, yeah, I know he's the target that Owen's group. I know he's the person that Owen's group is trying to eliminate, but I feel they could have switched it up a little and given Sanji and Pekoms a little more to do in the chapter, which does, I guess, bring up the other thing about this chapter, which is that it felt really short. And maybe it's because the majority of it was focused on action, but yeah, I almost felt this chapter could have been longer to give a little more of the fight. But then again, the fighting wasn't. I guess we could argue that the fighting it really wasn't the focus of the chapter. It was just kind of focusing on Sanji, Luffy, and Peckham's just pretty much escaping off the island. So in a way, I guess I can give it a little bit of leeway in the fact that the fighting wasn't really all that engaging this chapter. But again, it's only because I think they were more focused on escaping than actually fighting. So yeah. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.